just getting ready to go back into Knight's Ferry again. So back here on the outskirts of Modesto and Oakdale, some of the mining operations taking cover. It's extremely hot. So about 103, and we're going to revisit the structures, looking inside of the constructed canal and near the covered bridge. So this time having a little more clear head. Everything is not so surprising. Already know a lot of the things to expect from the previous video. A lot of the very damaged building, the abandoned massive cast iron wheel and works. So I know there's an upper canal system which moves along the Tuolumne River further up to the Tulloch Dam, and then there's a series of created canals and dams elevated that run through this area. And there seems to be a lot of structure coming out of the side of the hills up on the highway before you come into the park at Kennedy Drive. So a lot of things to consider, so very exciting to come in here. But I'm also going to try to put the drone into the air up above the elevated canal, well above the water station, and see how intricate it might be. So I think that might be sort of exciting to see, and possibly walking into the stream. Today I got the underwater camera, so I might plunge it into one of the deep areas. It might be a place that I want to dive into. So we'll see what everything looks like. So Knight's Ferry Part 2. Currently out here in the bushes, taking a look. See if there's anything here to see. Some sort of an oak tree. Kind of terrible. So the memorial covered in crap. So 1988. So here's a medium-sized oak tree. Quite a few. So I did notice that on the way in here, there's no old trees. All young trees again. So we're trying to put that together. So these are all young trees. All right, let's continue the adventure. Let's get a good look at this wall from where it's most complete to where it degrades under the current street off to the left. So we've got this large wall. So we're seeing some strangeness already. So some sort of marks, compressed redness surrounded by white, super weird. Strange pocket. Kind of looks like a sideways inverted shrinky-dink frog. If you're in the brick, but no, if you know the vernacular, that's frog. Okay, so here's this amazing structure with super cool geometry. Really good. Second phase or third where new mortar was required because apparently it's expanding out toward us. So it's lost its refined shape. There's a really piece of old iron oxide glazed ceramic pipe just laying over here. Coming up the wall, this is still a constructed surface. And then off to the main works. So we can see there's a large amount of soil here, well above the top of this established wall. It's very likely older than the very poor condition brick on top of this wall. So blocked up archway with very poor condition mortar, and then a very different foundation that this is built on with subterranean high quality ironwork with rivets that we'll get a better look at. But this mud is here, so without all this huge dirt pile, we'd be able to see the inside corner where this wall comes into the 90, and that one would have as well, but we have emerging rock coming out of this portion of the wall. That's a pretty substantial wall, and assembling masonry with this level of fitment with random size is way more difficult and way more time consuming than uniform bricks. Everyone should know that by now. This is not complicated up on top. They would never choose to use the most irregular surface. It's also not stronger. They do not interlock at a better level. Let's continue the deeper look at Knight's Ferry. So this concrete is added on to a very degraded, assembled heavy masonry construction. So the top, for some reason, they found itself in a condition where it had become powder. And there's a large machine here. We're able to see the size of this machinery that is inside this heavy masonry building. So have a look at that drive wheel, and there's a connection point where this water-driven dynamo impeller, some sort of a very high energy output, large pipe, which is going to go straight up this hill to the water canal above. So that water is going to come down with significant weight of head pressure down to a necked down pipe driving this machine. And on the other side, the output is quite fascinating. It's a very strange drive gear. It appears to be solid cast iron, meticulously grooved, obviously would be balanced. It has large block, cast iron block bearing holders. The tops have been removed. But it appears as this, we'll call it a fluted drum. Looks like it would be able to drive some sort of a worm gear, a helical gear, and take power off. I don't think that was a large, wide, like a V-groove belt. That would be extreme. But there is a concrete foundation to hold something down further. These things have been completely melted off or cut off or broken off. Can't wait to look closer. So quite an experience. This is very different from 6 or so months ago. Looking at this entire structure has a whole new appearance due to the absence of the water. This place is dried up, and I'm going to go right down in there, but I got to compose myself because it's going to be super weird. Look at this. So I was running across the top, and there was a lot of water here. And there's a pathway, and it looks like some possible steps. So let's go down. And this is amazing. How about this? Okay, so we've got some strange, amazing, crazy arches down here. That is part of the wheat grinding mill with stones in place until they decided to turn it into a power station. So that's what we're finding here. What is that? That's a weird thing. There's a, look at that column. What is that, a pipe? It appears to be cast iron pipe. So you can see the water line, very clear. So last time I would have been underwater. So we've got some unusual granite with metal in it. So we have more of the concrete poured into this stone. Okay, so what I really want to show today is some of the extreme damage. So this piece of concrete, this huge section, so it's about 2 feet by 6 or 8 feet, broken off with a large piece of reinforcing metal in it. This is broken off. So that was connected somewhere nearby. We have a lot of metal connection points. Really old steel. Take a peek at this. It's driven in. And then the concrete is here. Huge cracks running through. So this, I was going to bring an underwater camera and float around in there, but I didn't have to. Go in. So really interesting analyzing this construction. So we can see the forms underneath with the end turns on both ends of the arch. And then up above, you can see that it has iron reinforcement. The rusty section goes from arch to arch. And over here, I'm on top of this really big wall, and that goes underneath. And this is all filled in. We really don't know what's underneath, but it's not nothing. So this is an extreme construction. And again, we are told that this was originally for grinding wheat. And it's 103 today, and I don't know who would be able to do this building here in that kind of a weather, plus especially given our location. It's amazing. So fantastic. Something happened here, we don't know, but this is here. So we've got a vertical core bit that's going to go into that stone, likely come out underneath that moss, and there's this iron piece in it. So that's an extreme amount of work just to even attempt to do, to bring in a piece of equipment just to make that hole. Amazing. Okay, this is another piece of thrown concrete structure in the 4 to 8 foot range by 16-18 inches, so very heavy. Concrete is not as heavy as granite, but it is close as far as in density and what it weighs per cubic foot. This is the small components that make up the concrete, and the aggregate inside are essentially mostly silica, granite material. It's a very good light. So we have some refined work with a very big mess to refined, very durable bond style for extreme strength. And then some very degraded surface of concrete. So they would say that the surface where the aggregate is exposed could be from continued water flow. But sitting here staring at it, there seems to be some metal coming right out of it at intervals. So there's these spikes. Spike, spike. All the way up. All the way down. So this channel with extreme concrete, and then we'll go back to the stone bridge. So down here's the water looking, seeing a lot of unusual things. I'm seeing some real flat, flaky, broken off. It's completely broken off. And so is this. This is usually very deep underwater. So we've got more concrete guide channels. The condition of this material is rock. Very unique. With the segment, it's extremely smooth, very shiny. Very smooth. It looks like there's a way directly into the water. Very clear water, deep. I think I'm gonna go in it. Look at this outrageous surface. This is freezing. Really cold, extremely clear.